Hej, mein Name ist Nina Katharina Karlsson und ich bin Kulturrätin an der schwedischen Botschaft hier in Berlin. Heute habe ich die Freude, Sie zu einer Premiere zu begrüßen, zu unserem ersten digitalen Science Café. Eine Kooperation zwischen der Estnischen Botschaft, EUNIC, der Gemeinschaft der europäischen Kulturinstitute in Berlin und uns. Diese Veranstaltung hätte eigentlich hier im Felleshus der nordischen Botschaften mit Publikum stattfinden sollen. Dann kam die Covid-19-Pandemie und wir haben uns dieses neue Format mit Jaan Aru ausgedacht. Jaan Aru ist ein estnischer Neurowissenschaftler und Psychologe, der sich in seiner Forschung mit den Gemeinsamkeiten und den Unterschieden zwischen menschlichem Geist und künstlicher Intelligenz beschäftigt. 2016 hat er den Estnischen Preis für Wissenschaftskommunikation erhalten und 2019 den Preis für junge estnische Wissenschaftler. Zurzeit ist er Marie Sklodowska-Curie-Forschungsstipendiat an der Humboldt-Universität zu Berlin. Das nächste Mal sehen wir uns dann hoffentlich hier persönlich wieder im Felleshus. Aber jetzt wünsche ich Ihnen viel Spaß beim Zuschauen.
Thank you very much for the introduction and thank you for inviting me. I'm a neuroscientist and I really want to understand what makes us humans so creative. Just look around you. You're surrounded by objects and technology created by the human brain. This video is being recorded through cameras, it's being brought to you via the internet, and you view it from your laptop or smart device. No other species has done anything like that. Why? I think that in our brains there is an algorithm of creativity. And my job as a scientist is to understand that core feature of being a human. So today, I would like to tell you a bit about this algorithm, and I would like to tell you how you can use it to be more creative. So I invite you to think about creativity in the following fashion. Creativity is like a puzzle, but this puzzle is all inside your brain, and the pieces of the puzzle are the pieces of knowledge that you have inside the brain. So these pieces of knowledge could be of different kinds. They could be about music, about arts, about science. They could be about any real-life problem. Now, the difference of this puzzle inside your brain is that you don't know the cover image. You don't know what will come out of this puzzle. That's what makes creativity so exciting. And the other thing is that you don't have all the pieces. In fact, when you start off, you don't have most of the pieces. And then you have to go and collect the pieces from the environment, from interacting with other people. I like this analogy to the puzzle because now we are in a better position to understand what creativity is. Now we can say that the fundamental operation of creativity is when one links two pieces of knowledge inside the brain. So that can be a relatively simple thing. And it means that creativity can be relatively simple. For example, when your children come up with some new game, then that's creativity. If you figure out the way how to solve some everyday problem for the first time, that's creativity. If you combine two recipes into a new one, that is also creativity. So all of these cases are simple examples of creativity because fundamentally creativity means that you combine two simple pieces of knowledge. However, this analogy now gives us the opportunity to understand the other aspect of creativity. Namely, if you put these pieces together over and over again, you can build over time these amazing structures inside your brain. And now if you have put together, let's say, thousands of pieces of knowledge already, then you have these big chunks of puzzle. You have maybe, let's say, 2, 3 big chunks of the puzzle. And if you manage to connect them, you manage to link these big chunks, then that's what we call a breakthrough, a scientific discovery, an invention, an artistic masterpiece. So we understand that creativity is something that is this simple operation of linking pieces of knowledge, but it can be built up. And through to this analogy, we are now also in a better position to understand creative people. We understand that these people who are creative, they are not fundamentally different. These people who might look not so creative, they also have these fundamental algorithms in their brains. But simply these people who are creative, they have used it over and over and over again to build these magnificent structures inside their brain. So that's why they can make these amazing creative leaps when they make the connections in their brain. And most importantly, this analogy tells you that if you want to go from here, not being so creative, to here, being a creative person, then all you need to do is build the structure inside your brain. There is no way around it. Everyone who is creative has done it. Sometimes these people have done it for decades. There is no shortcut. For example, let's take some examples of child prodigies. Famous case is, of course, that of Mozart, who already in his teenage years was creating masterpieces. However, Mozart started his music lessons very early, at around the age of 3, which means that by the age when he started to create his masterpieces, he already had been building this puzzle inside his brain for around a decade. So there is really no way around it. And I'm not saying that there are no inborn talents. What I am saying is that when we look at someone who is really creative, we should not say, oh, he or she is so amazing because she has these inborn talents. Rather, we should celebrate the ability of these people to put tens of thousands of hours into building these structures inside their brain. That's the amazing thing. And, well, perhaps some of you now think, well, I can also do it. Yes, you can. So if you are motivated to try, then the first thing you should kind of think about is what kind of a puzzle do you want to create in your brain? Is it a puzzle about music, about art? Do you want to solve some scientific problem? The main point is that you should not think about, in which topic am I good at, but rather, in which topic do you want to be good at? And then, as said, there is no way around. You should start building this structure inside your brain. For example, I'm a scientist, and when you want to solve a scientific problem, you have to study the works of other scientists, because other scientists over centuries have found different pieces of the puzzle. You have to know these pieces. Or in the words of Isaac Newton, if I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. What he meant is that he had learned from the other scientists before him, and only then he was able to make these new links, these new connections inside his brain. That is creativity. Now, the other thing you need to do is you need to find some time for you when you do your creative work. It could be in half an hour every day, but you should really kind of make yourself a time slot for that. Because otherwise, you come to an end of the day and you say, hey, I actually wanted to build that puzzle, but it's already late and I have so many other things to do. Take the time and go in with the attitude that I am doing it for myself. I am trying to build the puzzle inside my brain. I think it's nice because it gives some extra purpose to the life. And I'm not saying that you should focus all the time very hard on building this puzzle. No, when you feel that attention is drifting away, you can make a break, you can take naps, and definitely you should get a good night's sleep. This is because sleep is really essential for building this kind of a puzzle. You could think of it so that during sleep, these pieces of knowledge that are not really relevant are removed. Those pieces that you already have put together, they are kind of glued together. And most importantly, you can even make new links during sleep. There's a famous story about a German pharmacologist, Otto Loewi, who writes in his autobiography that he came to an idea of an experiment during a dream. And that experiment largely solved the question of the nature of nerve transmission. So that experiment led Loewi to obtain the Nobel Prize. So that was indeed a very sweet dream. I'm not telling you that only thing you need to do now is go to sleep and dream and then you will be super creative. No, Otto Loewi had been working for decades on this problem. For decades he tried to understand the nature of nerve transmission, right? That's why this breakthrough could come to him during a dream. So when we think about these breakthroughs or also artistic masterpieces, then the key is that you already have built these big structures and now perhaps you're missing just one piece that would join these big structures. So you're looking for that one piece of knowledge. How could you find it? One way that is used by creative people is to study the works of other creative people. Even the most original of them, for example, Picasso, were quite well lectured in the works of others. So Picasso is known actually to take motifs from the works of other painters and use it in his own original and creative way. Or if you're a scientist, you would go and study the works of others because you're looking for that one piece and it might be somewhere. A technique that I like to practice myself is that when I have a problem, and of course my problems are relatively small compared to those of Picasso or Newton, tiny problems, right? But nevertheless, my problems with my puzzle. When I have this kind of a problem that I feel that I'm missing something, then I call a friend of mine, and there are a couple of friends who I call, and I tell them, look, I will now tell you about my problem and let me know what you think. And usually they say, sorry man, I don't have any idea about that. And I say, let's discuss. And then quite often during that discussion, actually, I get that piece of puzzle. I see that actually they had that piece of knowledge without them knowing about it. And it can also happen that you yourself don't know that inside your own brain you have this piece of knowledge, this missing piece of knowledge. To help that piece of knowledge to be found in your brain, you can do something of the following. For example, go and take long walks. Simply be with your own brain, thinking your own thoughts. You would be like Beethoven, who liked to go for long walks, always with a notebook with him so he could scribble down notes and ideas. Or you could simply lay in the bed, doing nothing. And by that I really mean doing nothing. So you should not be in your smartphone while you're doing that, because imagine that this piece of knowledge somewhere in your brain is yelling, hey, I'm here to solve your puzzle, but you cannot hear it because you're watching a video clip of cats. And of course, cats are really, really awesome, right? But this feeling when you really finally find that piece of puzzle that solves your problem, I mean, you cannot put that feeling into words. But I hope that all of you will have a chance to experience that feeling at least once in your life. But to get to that point, you first need to start building the puzzle. You need to build up these beautiful structures inside your brain. And I encourage you to try. Because only if you try, you can see the amazing things your brain can come up with. Thank you.